Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Cinema Savvy. It is myself, George, joined once more by Tate, and bringing on for the very first time Sarah from Popcorn Chat for another episode of the Untitled Monthly Movie Show, the series where we just have a nice chilled out discussion about film. We go over what we've been watching this month. It also includes TV as well. But before we get into any of that sort of stuff, how are we all doing tonight?
Yeah, doing good. Finally back home. I think this is the first one. We're in April now. Different location every single time, but I'm hoping, fingers crossed, from here on out, I will be here based for the rest of the year. But yeah, good.
Excellent. Sarah, are you good?
Yeah, I'm all good. Having a very nice chilled bank holiday. Not done too much
Yes.
besides catching up on TV and film, to be honest.
And listen, that's a great way to do bank holidays. Many of them are done like that. We spoke before, Succession's on tonight. Everyone will be watching it tomorrow. No spoilers here, of course. But we want to hear from everybody at home. So it feels good. I've not been on I think it's the first stream in like 2 weeks I've been on, which feels really strange. Shout out if anyone's watching to Dave, Phil, and Sam for covering Mandalorian for the finale. But let us know what you watched this month. Please do comment along if you're watching it live. Of course, put any questions you want in the chat, any comments. If you're watching it later on, do leave a comment after and let us know. But aside from that, we are here going through what we watched. But actually, I need to also plug the social media. You can really tell I'm rusty. Twitter and Instagram at cinema_savvy, Facebook and letterboxd.com/cinemasavvy with a link to Redbubble in that description below. If you do want to pick up any merch, which Tate is wearing for us, of course. But Tate, you mentioned you're back home.
Yes.
You missed Star Wars Celebration.
I did.
I'm not going to talk too much about that. We've got a lot of videos on it, but it might come up a couple of times tonight. How good are you, just very quickly?
I mean, I've got a decent amount of kit just from Star Wars Celebration that my sister was able to get me, and she seemed to have a fantastic time just through some of the connections that she's got being able to do it. But you know, I am a little bit upset that I missed out. But the reason why I missed out was to basically achieve the highest qualification I could do in my field of work, and I managed to pass that finally after 3 or 4 years of starting that exam. So it paid itself off. I'm already booking the time off to go over to Japan for the next celebration, so I'll be looking forward to that. And also very glad that I managed to get a bunch of these Cinema Savvy stickers with the Star Wars logo to just give to friends, plaster all over the place, really.
Yes, we have a lot more of those because it's a lot harder handing them out than you think because you're just having normal conversation and it's like
them with people.
Well, it may be. I mean, we're on a night out, people are giving us stickers. I was like, oh, people are doing this on the nights out as well, which really caught me by surprise.
I will be honest. If someone comes up to me in a night out and gives me a Cinema Savvy sticker and I have no idea what it is, I am just throwing that straight away in the bin.
And Sarah, bringing up Star Wars, you've just done a ranking video on your channel of all the Star Wars films. Not putting you on the spot. I know we know what A, Star Wars fans like, B, what ranking videos are like. So everybody, please check it out. But just very quickly, because it's the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi, and I'm going to bring that up later on. I don't know how to put you on the spot with a Star Wars question. I'm not going to, but just give us a rundown. Like, where did the idea come from for you to sort of go in with the ranking as you've not seen them for a while? I'm really curious, actually, because I love the fact it wasn't timed for May the 4th. Like, some people would be very specific and OCD, but it was just nice to see a Star Wars video sort of out of context that they're not building up to anything. It was just nice to get a Star Wars video.
Yeah, well, originally I sort of decided to do this big sort of watch through because I'd only seen about 5 out of all the main films. So over the Christmas break, I sort of started watching through all of them in release order. And then I sort of was just live picked up, and then I ended up sort of filming it more like March time. And then I decided to sort of put it out. I think it was more in line with, I think Mandalorian season 3 was just sort of been released. So I think it's more around that sort of time. So it wasn't really deliberate. I wasn't there to do it for the May the 4th kind of thing, but it was just, I thought I'd give my sort of 2 cents as someone who's not a massive Star Wars fan, I'm going to say. I thought I'd just come in with my very sort of more critical kind of mindset from it. But I have to say, Return of the Jedi is up there for me. It was one of my favorites on the watch through, but I did decided not to go and see it at the cinema. But it's definitely I've been really surprised how positive people have been, like in the comments. I thought this is going to be the one that's going to have people turn on me and just be like, all the trolls would just come on. But no, genuinely, people have been really sort of supportive and have put different like rankings of their favorites. It just seems to be like Rogue One and Han Solo that have been like the big talkers about where I've put them. But yeah, it's really interesting, and I think I now have a better understanding about sort of the Star Wars kind of universe now. So yeah, it's been a really good experience.
Excellent. And I think with that in mind, I'll go first. So people at home, so we go through what we watched. I have my letterboxed up for the films. I'm going to talk in about a couple of TV shows actually. But the reason I'm going to go first is because it's pretty much all Star Wars films. Tayte, when we did the last episodes, that was either the morning of, where I was like, I just did the prequel trilogy this week out of fun, or I hadn't done 3, so I'm just going to get these done and dusted. On the 3rd, I don't normally date everything, but I did a back-to-back of episode 4 and episode 5 on the 3rd, and I rounded it off with Return of the Jedi on the 4th. Obviously, at that point in time, they hadn't announced that Return of the Jedi is going to be back on cinemas the same month. So just jumping to the end, I did go to the cinema today to watch Return of the Jedi on the big screen, and I just got to say, as someone that's grown up with Star Wars, that not in a weird way is like, I know every version. That sounds awful, but when there's a film you just know, and then you see it in a different light, or like for example, George Lucas, when he did the Blu-ray versions, I started noticing stuff like those battle droids weren't there, and it's not because I look for that. It's because as a kid, you've got the programmed memory of I've seen it X amount of times in the same format. Return of the Jedi in the cinema today was something different. I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. I know that sounds ridiculous. I got very lucky that in 2020, the first film back after lockdown I saw was Empire Strikes Back. They did that staggered anniversary / there's no films to release, so here's old films. We got to see Empire, and it was great on the big screen. But that experience was like, yes, we're back at the cinemas, more so than it's Star Wars. And Return of the Jedi just hit differently. That the 4K cut they're using, like, again, not to be like arrogant, but I've got a very good setup that I'm very comfortable with watching stuff. And even I was sat there at the cinema, like, this just looks remarkable. And I just spent most of the screening stage just in awe, like, it's how you should be watching Star Wars, right? And I saw a tweet yesterday from one of the box office companies, and apparently it's going to make $5 million in America this weekend. And like here, America's had a really, really limited screening where a lot of cities aren't showing it. If you go in, you're going to have to travel far. I just sat there thinking, why haven't these had a proper wide release since 1997 when they did the special editions? And I'm not going to sit here in terms of the Star Wars podcast, not at all. But, that happened in the 90s. There's a lot of people I know that their first experience of Star Wars was the 90s re-release at the cinemas. And I just thought that there's like a generation of children like robbed of watching Star Wars on the big screen. I know they've got, we got the prequels, our group. The younger kids got the sequels / Disney Plus. But I know it's far away, but they just 50th anniversary, at least get a proper release out so everyone can go, because people will go. And just seeing that today has reinforced that I need to see them on the big screen ASAP.
I think it's just with any film that you have any nostalgic feeling about, if you weren't able to watch it back in the day on the big screen, any opportunity to go and see it on the big screen. I know that a lot of people really enjoyed watching the James Bond films back on the big screen when they were re-showing them. For me, my personal one that I really connected with was watching Blade Runner on a big screen. Like, there's always going to be at least one film where you have that connection to it, and you're going to be able to go and watch that film and just experience it in a dark room, large screen, lovely surround sound, and it will hit different. And especially with Star Wars, which has captured the hearts and minds of people for generations now, it's something like that. Seeing that up on a big screen, it will feel very different, and it will be a really, really cool experience. I just wish they did more screenings of it so that more people could go see it.
Yeah. I mean, Sarah, not to put you on the spot with Star Wars again, but if one of them was showing, would that be something like if the right what's a better term? If there was a big, genuine, massive re-release, not like Return of the Jedi, where it's like here's a couple of cinemas across the country showing it once, is that something as someone that doesn't really have a Star Wars background you'd be intrigued by for any of them? It's quite an interesting question, actually.
I mean, I was there for all the the latest sort of trilogy, Force Awakens. I saw all of those in the cinema. But going through the ranking thing, Return of the Jedi was my favorite, and I don't know why I didn't book a ticket, because it was my favorite, because it was the most fun, and I would have loved to have seen that. But it completely passed me by, to be honest. But yeah, I love those sort of, like you were saying, Tate, like those sort of anniversary things for every sort of film. I mean, I saw Scream when it had the 25th anniversary, and that was excellent. Like, that was so great to see in the big screen. But yeah, I think any of those earlier ones that I completely missed, that I've had to watch, I think on DVD before Disney Plus was a thing, was when I started watching 4, 5, and 6. Yeah, any of those I think is pure nostalgia for a lot of people, but for me, it's just I would get to see that sort of initial experience, which is always great.
I'm going to give a slightly different answer if I'm allowed to answer the same question, because I would have picked A New Hope, but I've seen A New Hope in the Royal Albert Hall with like the orchestra. So
you can't beat that.
You can't beat that. So I think for me, just to really give myself a massive kick of nostalgia, I'd probably pick Phantom Menace. Like, if they did an IMAX re-release or something like that, I would be the first to snap up tickets for that.
We did. Me and my sister went. They did the 3D release in 2012, I think, for the Phantom Menace. And pre-takeover, George Lucas was going to release one each year with a proper wide release in 3D. And then obviously Disney bought them that year and cancelled them. But I know that 2 and 3 were done because they showed it at Star Wars Celebration 2015 to people that were there. But I would. I mean, this is without getting Star Wars again. Like, obviously the version we got was of Hayden at the end, which I absolutely love that change, and I've always defended that change. Seeing like him on the big screen, which is so weird to say because it's not really his film, for like 3 seconds, I was like, I need to see Revenge of the Sith at the cinema. I don't know what the audience would be like, but I've got such good memories of seeing that as a kid at the cinema when that came out with family, the event. Just seeing that with the modern audience would be really interesting. Modern audience, like meme culture, I guess. Seeing who would laugh at what. And, I think that'd be the one for me. But it's a good question with stars, and I think everyone's gonna have different answers. I mean, you mentioned Phantom Menace. It's Star Wars, isn't it? And they're just great. And I wish, even a minor one, I'd love Rogue One to have. I mean, I got to see Rogue One last year before Andor at the Empire event, which I was very lucky. I know it was more of a hotel cinema than a big cinema, but even getting that on the big screen was still pretty great. But yeah, that's me wrapping up my Star Wars stuff. We've still got other films to talk about, though. But on the 5th of April, going back to someone from Star Wars, I saw The Bridge on the River Kwai for the first time, which I thought was genuinely really good. I'd heard a lot about it in the past with Alec Guinness. I don't think I've actually seen any of his films outside of Star Wars, which I don't know if I'm allowed to say or not. And obviously, certain actors, they have this reputation, right? So obviously last year when we did the Bond films, I kept going through all like the Bond actors' other stuff, which was really fun. And it's something I thought maybe I should do this for Star Wars down the line. So I saw A Bridge on the River Kwai, which I do recommend. I picked up the 4K cut, which looked unbelievable, as so many of them do these days. And that was pre-Star Wars Celebration. So I didn't see a film for like 10 days after. I was wiped out after that event, during that event. I know Dave was the same, Phil was the same, Sam was the same. A lot of people got COVID that went. Luckily, I avoided it, but I'm sure I had it last week because I was down pretty bad. Because Tate, we had that call last Sunday, and I was like just completely like zoned out.
Yeah.
And I just, this week was a write-off. But post that, on the 15th, I did a double bill at the cinema. I saw Renfield, which I thought was okay.
I've not seen it yet.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
I don't mind like that sort of goofy comedy, it could be horror, it's a bit of comedy. I don't mind those, and I know it's called Renfield.
I just need to know, how hard does Nick Cage lean in?
Well, this is it. Nicolas Cage is so good in it. And I didn't see the trailer. I saw one trailer before a showing once, but I didn't actively follow it. I didn't know I can never pronounce him. Awkwafina? Is that how you pronounce it? Awkwafina?
Awkwafina.
I feel like it's Awkwafina, yeah.
I didn't know she was in it. There was a really weird subplot about police, and I was like, oh, okay, this isn't that type of film. And it was an hour and a half, and I'll give it that. It was 90 minutes. It's a watch if you've got the time. and I was needing to do a double bill because straight after that I saw Mario on the same night, which I'm just gonna say I really enjoyed it. I mean, there's so much. I mean, it's hit $1 billion today. It's the first film needed to do that, which I didn't think it would, in all its credit. I just thought it was really entertaining, and sometimes that's not a bad thing. And some people are acting like it's like one of the worst things that's ever come out, and I'm just there like, what's your? I don't like doing the whole film criticism is dead nonsense, but how are you going into an animated Mario film, and expecting, I don't know, Inside Out? Like, you're not going to get that.
Not just that, it's made by Illumination, so the bar is already quite low.
Yeah, and listen, the animation itself was great. I had a really good. It is a bit like watching a cutscene in a really polite way, and I think that's a compliment. There's nothing worse, I think, when you read people say, "Oh, that's a terrible cutscene." I'm like, well, no, if it looks good, like if it looks like a good modern day cutscene, then fair play. But I thought it was amazing, and that Peaches song has been everywhere since.
It's Oscar. It can be nominated for Oscars. I'm putting out there already. Early favorite.
Put it past it. I mean, if their logic is they want to see someone perform live, Jack Black will perform it live.
He would dress as Bowser and perform it live, and it would be fantastic.
I'm fully on that train. But
the Oscars will try and shoehorn it in, even if there's like 5 songs which are way better than Peaches for Best Original
popularity.
Song. They'll throw it in just so that they can get the viewing numbers up just for that live performance.
I don't blame them. So that was my little Mario story. I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. And I didn't think I would. I thought, this is going to be a struggle. This is going to be tough. It's going to be cringe humor. It's going to be like not too animated-y, but you know, it's for kids, right? Is it going to be too kid-orientated? But it wasn't. I had a lot of fun. And they animate the Seth Rogen laugh, which is one of the best things that's ever happened. So that was a great moment, and that shows they really did care. Following it, I've only seen 2 of the films after these. This is how bad this month's been. The Mechanic on the 17th, terrible Jason Statham film. It's a remake of one from the 70s. That's for an upcoming podcast of Spy Hards who've been on our channel. So I saw that. I don't recommend it. There's a lot of other great Jason Statham action films if anyone wants to see any others. And then I followed that up on the 22nd last week with a film that sat on my shelf for about 3 years unopened, Demolition Man, of course, starring Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes. And it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It was an action film, but a very different type of action film.
Yeah, I've seen that film recently.
You've seen it. It's not. I mean, I'd only seen a poster, right? So I don't know what to expect. But
poster's great.
I mean, Sandra Bullock was in it as well, and I was like, Sandra Bullock's in this film. I thought, I've seen it, and it's there, and it's part
happened.
of a Stallone. Yeah, it's a Stallone box set film. It's ticked one off the list of films I own I've not seen. But not the film. Wesley Snipes is amazing. I'll give him that. But no one else is. Although there's a weird Schwarzenegger reference where Tayte basically, for some reasons unknown, it begins in the early 90s, right? And they basically just get frozen for like 50 years.
I have seen, I think, possibly the start of Demolition Man. I feel like I haven't seen the whole film, but I've seen a chunk of it. And I don't know if it was on TV at some point, and I just turned on and was like, oh, it was near the start, and then I kind of just switched off afterwards because something else was on. I don't know, but I know the premise. I just haven't seen anything past, I think, the first act.
You don't need to.
Okay,
all I was going to say is that there's an insane Schwarzenegger reference where I think, is it 2050 maybe? I don't know, but he'd been the president of the United States, and there's a Schwarzenegger museum. So I was like, what? And then I was sort of worrying my head. I was like, hold on, this is 93, I think it came out, and I was like, he hadn't been in politics at that point. And yet they'd gone for the Simpsons prediction of him as president. Now, obviously, he became governor of California. So I did wonder, was it always known he wanted to do politics? I don't know, but that was a really strange moment for me. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. It reminded me of oh god, I saw earlier this year. What's the sci-fi film with Chris Tucker? The really dear me, it's going to annoy me now.
No idea. Have a look back through.
Chris Tucker. I'm scrolling on my
sci-fi film with Chris Tucker.
It's a really famous one. Gary Oldman's in it. That's going to annoy me now. The French one,
Oh,
the director of Leon.
Yeah, funny hair.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I've got it in my head. I thought you meant it was a recent film.
So did I.
Yeah, with Bruce Willis. Oh my god.
Yes.
Oh,
Fifth Element.
Fifth Element.
Yes. It reminded me of
like a film out this year with Chris Tucker
God,
yeah.
and Gary Oldman. I was like, what are you talking about?
Fifth Element. That was a weird experience, and Demolition Man was like a less interesting version of that. I know they're not that similar, but there was very weird stuff happening. But that's my films for them. I'm thinking I've not seen them much TV wise. I know we all watched Ted Lasso in succession, I think.
Yeah.
So I've caught up to all of those. And then this week I binged a series I've been waiting to watch. I say binge is one season. Shrinking on Apple, starring Harrison Ford and Jason Segel. Incredible. If anyone enjoys Ted Lasso, I recommend that show. It's Ted Lasso just makes you feel a bit joyous in a really weird way. That it's a feel good series, and it's a great series. And Shrinking was sort of like here's a slightly depressing idea, but it's that same vein of like it's just really like nice to watch. So if anyone's looking for a 10 episodes, 30 minutes each, Shrinking's great. One of Harrison Ford's best performances in years. I think he's going to get an Emmy nomination. I don't know if it's just because he's Harrison Ford, but supporting actor in a comedy, I think he's nailed on for that. But I recommend Shrinking on Apple. I'm trying to get through my Apple stuff. I've got like 2 months left of my free 6-month trial, so I really need to pick up the pace now. But that's going to wrap up what I've seen.
Interesting. Good. Would you like to go next, Sarah?
Sure. Okay. I mean, I started my month by going to the cinema to watch The Big Lebowski. It was the first time I've ever seen it as well, so I went with a few colleagues from work. And I liked it. As a Coen Brothers film goes, I actually quite liked it. It's definitely one of the better ones that I've seen, but it was great to see it on the big screen. I think it was 25th anniversary screening. Had a few across the UK. So yeah, that was pretty good. I can see why there's hype around it, to be honest. And then I rewatched Last Night in Soho, which I did enjoy the first time round. Saw it at LFF a couple of years ago now. But again, the ending for me is just what kind of loses it for me. Like Edgar Wright just has this ability not to end films well recently. Hopefully I'm not alone in that.
I just want to jump in. I've been meaning to rewatch it, and it's on my rewatch list, and I didn't get around to it. And it will probably be on my list for next month of films watched. But would you say that it holds up as a film? Would you say that it's...
I think it does in some ways, but obviously I know the kind of twist that's coming. But I was watching it with people that have never seen it before, and they really enjoyed it. Like I watched it with my mum, and she really enjoyed the music, and the music still holds up. I love the cinematography; that all still works. But again, the ending I still felt the same. Like I don't think it necessarily improves. So
it's like they've got this amazing concept, and I don't think they know how to end it. Because I remember coming out of that screening. I mean, it was at 8 a.m, that press screening take.
Yeah,
I think it was
early.
And I just remember coming out like, I don't know if it's because it's early in the morning or I was like, I really enjoyed it up to the end. And I don't even think it was the twist. It was just, there was a few weird things for me where I just sort of not zoned out. I was like, like this was going so well. And I just think it just halts. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, it's a shame, but and then I think this was Easter weekend. I think this is why I was watching so many films. On the 8th, I then watched Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid for the first time because that was on TV. Again, it was good. Some random bits in it. Why is he riding a bike to that song? I don't know. There's some. Yeah, it was good. But you'll realise that I'm a very harsh critic as these things, as these reviews go along. On the same day, I then watched Raw for the first time, the French film.
I've heard of it. That's the director that did Tayte, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah. So I saw Tayte again at LFF and loved it, and I was like, I need to go back and watch Raw. And it's good. It's pretty brutal. It's very different to Tayte. But it's it's interesting. It says a lot about you, like it's veterinary, it's set like a veterinary thing, and that's the dynamic between that's very interesting. But yeah, I would really recommend it, even though it's different to Tan. On the 9th, I watched Quiet Place Part 2 because I'd not seen it, and it came onto Netflix, I think, that week. I think it's a pretty good sequel. I do prefer the first one, but I think this is a generally pretty good follow up to that, and it's very much more about the kids' perspective. I think the first 10 minutes is amazing. I'm not sure if you guys have seen it, but like that sort of.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, if you know what Tayte,
No.
that was the first. Was that the first film we saw in lockdown? Sorry, I'm waffling. Ignore me.
Yeah.
No, I think it did come out in lockdown, didn't it? Or
Yeah,
just
I
post.
think that might have been the first ever in-person press screening, as in like not LFF and not online. That was because they had to kick drunk people out of the Cineworld in Leicester Square because they just came in randomly. And that's like the one film you don't want drunk people in any screening you're in, but A Quiet Place is like probably like up there of the ones you just can't actually have anything like that at all.
Yeah, no eating, no talking, no nothing. Yeah, and then the film watching takes a bit of a dip of a turn. I decided to rewatch High School Musical and High School Musical 2.
But you didn't complete it?
But for some reason, we never watched number 3. We just did 1 and 2. Me and my housemates just decided to rewatch them. We wanted a musical, and we knew these two. It was nostalgia, definitely, because I loved them as a young teen. And then on the 14th, I decided to watch the Super Mario Brothers film from the 90s, because it's one of these films that I thought I made up as a child. Like, I thought it was a fever dream. I remember
it really was.
It's so, like, this is the first time I've watched it since I was, I don't know, 7 or something. And I just remembered like the fungus stuff, and I remembered the small heads, and I was like, oh my God. It's interesting. I'm not sure if it works in some ways, but it was interesting to watch with 2023 vision. Then, God, I have watched a lot of films. On the 15th, I watched Ready or Not. I think because I'd watched Scream 6, I decided to go back and watch Ready or Not because I'd not seen it. Thought it was pretty good.
Have you seen Ready or Not, George?
No, I feel like I've heard of it. Is it the Sasha
I'd recommend it.
Yeah, Samara
Weaving.
Right? Yeah. Yes, it's the same guys that then did the Scream 5 and 6. I thought it was pretty good. Really enjoyed that one. I then went to the cinema and watched on the same day One Fine Morning, the Léa Seydoux one, the French one.
Oh, that's just come out, hasn't it?
Yes, same director who did Bergman Island, which I've not seen, but this was it's like the film says, it's fine. Not much really happens in it, I'll say that. But I think some people like it. If you like a film that doesn't really have much to it, I think you'll like this one. On the 16th, I rewatched The World's End. Again, clearly on an Edgar Wright thing, because I think Amazon Prime have put loads of Edgar Wright films on there. Again, I remember seeing it at the cinema, really was liked the first 2/3, and that last bit I didn't really like too much. And again, it's the same feeling. It's not the strongest in the Cornetto trilogy, really, is it?
It's got Pierce Brosnan, though. That's something.
It's true. I wanted him to break out into song, like in Mamma Mia, but no. Disappointed. And then again, on the same day, I watched Salem's Lot for the first time. I just had it on Blu-ray for ages, decided to watch it, put it on, didn't realize it was 3 hours long. So I wasn't mentally prepared. I was like 40 minutes in. Where's the vampire? Can't see a vampire. It was okay. Very 70s people chatting. I wanted more vampires, basically. And then I rewatched Evil Dead 2013 as well, just in preparation for this. I really loved that film. I think it's a really good one. On the 21st, I watched Raging Bull for the first time.
Ooh. Is that the cinema 4K version they just did?
No, I didn't see the cinema version, but I did buy it on Blu-ray recently. So I was like, because someone asked me if I wanted to go. I was like, I've literally just bought it.
That's also quite a long film, isn't it?
Yeah, it was quite long. And again, first time seeing it, my perspective of it may be a little bit different to a lot of people, because what I took away from it was, a lot of violence towards women and, so a lot of, homophobic slurs. I was like, oh, I don't know if this holds up, but I can appreciate the cinematography and the direction that's still there, like the performances and stuff. But yeah,
I've only seen it once, and I didn't like it as much as the others. However, I'm a massive Rocky fan, so I'm also scared that comes down into it. But I've got loads of Scorsese films I need to watch. But I know a lot of people have Raging Bull at the top, but I just don't find it as good as everyone else. Whispers quietly. Gonna get shot. But
I was gonna say I respect the film, but I wouldn't place it as my top Scorsese.
Yeah, I think he has done better than this, but yeah, it's just another one to tick off the list, and obviously it's reference, pop culture all the time, so I have to go and see it really. And then this leads me up to this week. On Monday, I went to watch Polite Society. It's a Cineworld Unlimited screening on Monday. That was really good fun. Lots of great sort of blending of different cinemas with the sort of more sort of stunt world with sort of Western cinema. That was great fun. I would definitely recommend that if you're looking for something just easy going to watch. And then on Tuesday, I watched Evil Dead Rise, which is something I'm excited for. Sort of hyping that up on my channel as well. And yeah, I thought it was really good. Have you guys seen it yet?
No, I've not seen a single Evil Dead. However, I've seen the title reveal that everyone's talking about.
I know. Someone literally got their phone out in front of me, took a picture, and I was like, "Are you joking?"
But when I've never seen a title card released officially within a week of a film coming out. That was insane. And Tayte, you've got to see it. Not the film. Well, I haven't seen the film. So can't just there are title cards, and then there are proper title cards, and this is the top stuff. And I was surprised that's what the biggest take of Evil Dead's been for me so far. That's the most I've seen. Is a title
first
card.
5 minutes. yeah, it is good. I would definitely recommend even if you've not. I don't think you have to have seen the other films to go and see this one. I think it's pretty good. And then I watched Dawn of the Dead, the Zack Snyder one, randomly. I think a colleague told me to watch it, and they're like, "Oh, I really liked this." I was like, and then I watched it, I was like, "It's fine." It's very dated, like noughties kind of feel to it, with the dialogue, the aesthetics of it all. I really love the intro, like the opening scene. It's like it moves at 100 miles an hour. There's some really good bits, obviously, which I then realised was obviously Shaun of the Dead takes the piss out of, so it made a lot of sense. And then for a little film club I have on the side, I watched At Eternity's Gate, which is the Willem Dafoe Van Gogh film.
That's the meme, right?
Is that the looking up one?
That's the looking up meme, yeah.
Yes.
That's all I was remembered for.
He got an Oscar nomination.
He was Oscar nominated performance, but that's all that film is remembered for.
See, the thing is, you don't have Twitter, so you don't actually get to see it being used properly, because the tweets go one under each other, so they'll have the Willem Dafoe one looking up at the tweets. Oh, that's amazing. It's really bad. There's certain films you want to watch for the meme culture.
Yeah.
Is the film itself good? I'm assuming it is because he got nominated for an Oscar, but
it is good. It's very the way I described it was artsy fartsy. It feels like the director's just grabbed the camera and said, "Willem, let's go run in a field, and I won't cut the camera. We'll just keep going." So you see all these camera move. It's like if you're motion sickness, you might not like it. But camera's in his face like this all the time. But it is good, and it's got a really good cast. Oscar Isaac's in it, Mads Mikkelsen, Rupert Friend. It's a really good cast. I did like it. It's just I think it depends if you like those more sort of artsy kind of directed films.
My next question is it better than Loving Vincent? Because I love Loving Vincent.
I've not seen Loving Vincent yet. Yeah.
I still remember when I tried to. I just couldn't.
Yeah,
Loving Vincent's weird because it genuinely has one of the greatest concepts to animation I've ever come across, like the approach and the craft. and I couldn't get past the trailer, not because of my eyes struggled.
Your
looking
eyes
at
adjust. Your eyes adjust.
Okay.
I know.
It's a bit.
But
Do you know?
do you
If you're
see
saying
where I
that,
was coming from?
yeah, if you're saying that Eternity Gate gives you motion sickness, this film might give you motion sickness in the first like 5 minutes. But your eyes do adjust to it.
Okay.
And I was going to say, like, I'm trying to think of other films that have Vincent Van Gogh and media, and all I can think of is that one Doctor episode that did
I was
well.
going to say that's all I could
Yeah.
think of is the Doctor Who one.
Benedict Cumberbatch did a really sort of quirky one years ago.
I could see him playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Van
Yeah.
Gogh. Okay.
And then the last two films I watched I watched a weird one on Netflix yesterday called Bloodbath at the House of Death. It's one of the weirdest films I've seen in a long time. It's like this kind of 80s campy horror. Think like Carry On, if it met like the Scary Movie films. Like it doesn't. It's really weird. It's really like full of innuendos, and yeah, it's just don't watch it. It's on Netflix, but don't watch it. And then the one I watched today is We Have a Ghost, which is the one with what's his name in it? Guy out of Stranger Things.
Joseph Geary?
No, who plays Hopper?
Oh my
God.
I've forgotten his name.
We forgot his name.
David Harbour.
Harbour.
Yes, he was in it, and he didn't say a line of dialogue.
Oh, did they put him all over the marketing?
Yeah, he's in it. He's in the film, but him as the ghost, he doesn't say a word. I was like, okay.
He's billed as the first person there.
Yeah.
Like, and he's literally all over the marketing for it.
Yeah, he's got the easiest job in that film. Yeah, it was fine. Like there was some good funny bits. Like Jennifer Coolidge is in it. Anthony Mackie's in it. Like, but yeah, it falls into that trap of being like a Netflix film, and it's just But yeah, that's what I've watched in April. Quite a lot.
Yeah, good selection. Very good selection.
A variety, definitely.
It's fine. Whenever I go through mine, there's always that tonal whiplash between the different films that have been watched, especially in the order. And I wish I got some stability, but I can say this month I did not get any stability over my watching order. We're going full circle. I started the month by watching the sequel trilogy. So for people who've been watching the channel for a while, they may have been aware, I really like Force Awakens. The Last Jedi grows on me every single time I watch it, and I appreciate it more every single time. And that may be just because of how bad I was hit by The Rise of Skywalker. I watched Rise of Skywalker opening night in Austria for the first time. I laughed audibly during the film, especially towards the end, and I vowed to not watch it again for a long time. And you know what? Star Wars Celebration was coming up. I thought, okay, now's the time. Now's the time we go for it.
First time you've seen it since.
First time I've seen Rise of Skywalker since. And once again, I went through Force Awakens, solid film, really enjoyed it. Last Jedi, really enjoyed it. The only thing that I can't get behind is the Canto Bight stuff. Everything else I'm completely on board with. And then we get to Rise of Skywalker. And once again, not only was I bored out of my mind, I was just questioning every decision made in the film. It's like J.J. Abrams didn't even know the characters he was dealing with and stuff like that. It just felt awful. I know there's that whole kind of thing with like fans of films having a massive say in things and stuff like that, and they shouldn't be the ones dictating kind of where the film goes and stuff like that. But honestly, in this case, you know, there should have been some kind of intervention made. I don't think they did any screen tests for it, or like
screen tests. I can tell you, mate. Imagine working at Pioneer Studios, knowing they're filming Star Wars, and it ends up being that one. That was my like 6 months of seeing Matt Smith in the canteen with a stick, because we all know he's playing the Emperor, and then those scenes disappearing out of thin air. Like,
yeah,
the thing with Episode 9, and I don't want to get into Star Wars too much, but they're doing some really cool stuff with Bad Batch, and I know Mandalorian is done now, but they're starting to bridge that gap between 6 and 7.
Trying to piece it together.
Yeah, and my logic is you can have the best storytelling in the world to fill that gap, right? But ultimately, you're left with the same film still. Now, parts of it may come across better, but when I rewatched 9 last year for the first time, I did a 1 through to 9 rewatch for the big video we did, and 9's a struggle for me because I love 8. Everyone knows I love 8 maybe too much. I do think that and Empire to me are on par. And no, I'm trying to be nice.
You can't be nice. You absolutely can't be nice.
The problem I have with 9 is that it works as a collection of individual scenes, right? I can't fault the visual effects. I can't fault the production design. I can't fault the cost. It's just the story and the writing is just so bad. I can't wrap my head around how it was ever allowed to happen. I mean, I know exactly why it did happen. I can't say some of it live on air, but there was an impossible scenario that equally could have still been much better, but unfortunately, but kind of spinning on its head. Maybe a good question for all three of us. Obviously, now we've had the announcement, right, that we're going to have more Star Wars films, but one of the three is we're doing a. Obviously, they're not going to call it episode 10, I don't think, but we're going to have a Rey film written by Stephen Knight, of course, and Peaky Blinders, so many other great things. And it's going to be about 15 years after episode 9. How do you both feel with that? So if I give my really quick two thoughts, because there's a lot, I'm all down for it because there's sort of two reasons why. One, everyone involved did not get the justice they deserve on episode 9. That's every single person in that cast. Obviously, I mentioned the crew were amazing, but I couldn't, it's a final film. What's the outcome of that? I think everyone deserved better. It gives them more time to get the writing in place. But just as a background, what are your thoughts on them doing this film with Rey? Because I didn't have an issue. It'd be like if they'd have done, I know we're getting this between 6 and 7 film with The Mandalorian, right? And it's going to be Thrawn. Well, it's not officially Thrawn, but we know it's Thrawn. And that obviously is the old heir to the Empire stuff, which was books. Oh, Luke Skywalker did do this like 5-6 years after. What are your thoughts on, we're going to have a Rey film? I mean, hopefully there's Finn and Poe, and as I said, other people that deserve that big screen again. But what are your thoughts, just really quickly? Because it's a very interesting, because there are people I know that despise the sequel trilogy, and they're really up for it because they think the issue was the writing, not the people involved, which I think is quite, for Star Wars fans, quite mature.
I agree with the fans on this one. I'm okay with it. I'm fine with it. It's not about fixing what's happened because that's very difficult. You can't take back what's being put up on the screen. You can't, and especially because we've seen different versions of the script, we've seen different ideas and small little fixes that could have made the film better. To move on, you've just got to move on. And for me, at least, having a film following same characters, or at least one of the same characters, a little bit further down the line means that you can kind of hit that soft reset button if you really wanted to. And you can, not make changes to kind of justify what's happened in the past, but at least you can just move on and give these actors who are talented and who deserve a lot better a clean slate with the material and keep them involved in the Star Wars universe as much as possible, because the Star Wars universe is a massive family. As much as there are fans who want to tear the family apart and stuff like that, it is a massive family. As soon as you're involved in one film or one piece of media to do with Star Wars, it's going to stick with you for life. And I think giving them an opportunity again to kind of, especially for Rey as a character, to bring up the next generation of Jedi and stuff like that, that makes complete sense. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the same, to be honest. I think there's, from what little knowledge I know of the whole kind of Star Wars fan base, a lot of people turned on these not only characters but like the actors that played them in this sort of latest trilogy, just sort of trolls online. So I think having that opportunity to bring back new people, but also hopefully bring in like new characters, well, just as we had with that, bringing in the likes of like Finn and Poe and stuff, but alongside, because they're not legacy characters, but I guess Rey, Finn, whoever will become those sort of familiars. But I think we need that also another new generation within this new trilogy, which I think will happen. But yeah, I'm all for bringing back people, giving people that second chance. But yeah, it does come down to the script, to be honest.
But anyway, I'll put it this way: I won't be watching Rise of Skywalker again until at least the new film gets coming
Until
out.
then.
Yeah, until then. However far down the road that is. Then I realized I have a Netflix account and I've been not paying attention to it. So I went through and watched a bunch of films that were on Netflix whilst I was out in Austria. So I'd never seen Extraction. I saw the Extraction 2 trailer come out, so I decided to
Not
watch
seen it.
Extraction. I thought it was okay. It wasn't the best of films. It wasn't the worst of films. It was okay. It was kind of, for me, because I don't watch the Fast and Furious films, that this is what the Fast and Furious films are to me. It's just noise you can put on in the background and you can, stick them on the screen. You don't care what's going on. It's just like, things go boom. Like, you don't care about the acting at all. You don't care about, like, anything. It's just like, wow, endless set pieces of violence. Excellent. This is exactly what I need. So, at least the
Extraction's really serious. Except Vin Diesel, no one's serious in that.
No, but Vin Diesel definitely thinks Fast and Furious is serious.
Yeah, it's my Fast and Furious. If people are very struggling with Fast and Furious, there's two ways to look at this. To Vin Diesel, it's his Shakespeare. It's his accomplished work, his life's work. to everyone else, and I say The Rock specifically, but he's sort of, he's completely off the cliff as far as I'm concerned at the moment. But The Rock knew what it was. And that's why he works so well in it. And I think if anyone can break down that barrier of watching Vin Diesel take it seriously with no one else taking it seriously, it just becomes the greatest series ever. And I had a trailer today for Fast 10. Didn't know this new trailer came out. There is a giant bomb that is basically a pinball. Like, in the 5, they have the safe. I hadn't seen this new trailer. And I was like, they're basically playing like pinball now, but it's an exploding bomb in the Vatican.
Like,
I just thought,
I just don't get it. Like,
but Extraction thinks it's Extraction thinks it's really serious though. Extraction I struggled with,
but
because they needed that.
The choreography was good in Extraction at least. Like the fight choreography looked decent. They tried to film it, and this is the thing that I don't like with a lot of action films nowadays. Kind of cutting on the punch and stuff like that. Like cutting between scenes and everything. At least with this film, it reminded me a bit of like a B version of The Raid, like not pulling back the punches, actually having a set piece where the camera's on the scene. A lot of drone use in Extraction as well, which I'm assuming they kind of went and took into, inspiration towards The Grey Man, because I feel like that's, shifting on from there at least. But I thought it was okay for what it was. I just wanted to watch a film that just, numbed my mind for an hour and a half. So it did the perfect job. And then once again, going on from there, realizing that I have a Netflix account, Luther has a film that's come out, The Fallen Sun. As a fan of Luther, the TV series, I wouldn't say that this was a fantastic film, but it was a good double episode of Luther. That's about as far as I can,
It's got Andy Serkis in, hasn't it?
It's got Andy Serkis in it. He should have been in it a lot more because his character was insane and fantastic. But for me personally, it was just an extended episode. It was just a double episode, and I kind of wish it was split into two and done as two kind of episodes as a new series, because they'd always done that as the series. They always set it out in like 2-episode blocks and stuff like that. So I would have preferred that. But instead we get a film, and I guess it's okay. I guess they can make more, whatever, like if Netflix have the rights to those films, they could do whatever they want with that entire IP. They've set enough people up in that universe to go wherever direction they want to. So
did Netflix buy it then? Because obviously it was a BBC original, surely.
It's still a BBC film, but I'm pretty sure Netflix had the rights to show it, if that makes sense.
It's going to be like it'll be like Doctor Who, isn't it? That's going to be Disney Plus in America, right, moving forward.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So distribution rights and stuff like that. But it was okay. It was a Luther episode that was just as a film. So you didn't pause in the middle. You just kind of watched the episode. Then I rewatched Glass Onion because, once again, Netflix, and enjoyed it just as much the first time. Enjoyed the mystery. I just think that, Rian Johnson, he's fantastic with these films. I can't wait to see what he does next. And now that we've had 2 films of the Knives Out mysteries, I can't wait to see whoever he pairs up with Benoit Blanc next, whatever bunch of rich celebrities, White Lotus styled kind of shenanigans. Succession. Oh my God. If they can get, anyone like Jeremy Strong in there or anything like that,
That'd be great.
Brian Cox would be great in a Knives Out film.
He would be fantastic in a Knives Out film.
I know he'd just be playing himself, but
I just want him to just show up in an episode of Succession. Just like that would be brilliant.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So another film that was out Netflix in Austria was The Princess Bride, which I hadn't seen before. I'd seen a lot of like things about The Princess Bride over the years and stuff like that, and I don't know why I'd never seen it before. I just thought it was a kids' film and just never looked past it. But I really enjoyed it. I can understand why it's got a massive kind of cult following, and I think it's a really, really well put together kind of fairy tale film. So that was that one. Then back to the UK and back into the cinemas. And the first film from coming back I watched was Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Oh no, I thought you were going to say John Wick.
John Wick comes up a
Ant-Man
bit.
at the cinema.
I did, yeah. They were still showing it at my cinema. Yeah.
How I don't want to get into the
empty.
But I don't want to get into obviously the stuff that's happening like in real life that's important. But
yeah. How did I find the film?
Well, I was going to say, did that make it more uncomfortable as a viewing experience? It's a tricky one.
I wouldn't say it made me feel more uncomfortable. I was definitely aware of it. I was definitely aware of kind of, everything that's going on in the background and stuff like that. And I wouldn't say it dampened my experience because I'm there to watch an Ant-Man film. You just kind of put yourself in the mind of the film and stuff like that. You could still be aware of, what's going on without, having that affect it too much. I'll be honest. I heard so many people hating on the film. I quite enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than Ant-Man and the Wasp 2. Or Ant-Man and the Wasp, as it was called. I think it's a very mid-tier Marvel film. I don't think it's anything special. I don't think it's changing the world or anything like that. But at the same time, I don't think it should have received as much hate as it did. I think it's completely suffice. I think people are starting to get tired of Marvel, or at least of kind of the formula and stuff like that. And I know that Phase 4 hasn't been a success for Marvel, and a lot of people may have jumped off the ship after the end of the Infinity Saga, and not many people are really interested in this new saga, especially with the heavy push towards TV and trying to keep track of what's going on with a lot of their kind of storytelling. But as far as this is concerned, I thought it was okay. I don't think it pushed anything major. I don't think it pulled anything major. So yeah, that was my thoughts on Ant-Man.
Sarah, have you seen Ant-Man?
No, I have not seen the last few Marvel films. In my honest opinion, it should have finished at Endgame. That was a really nice ending to it. But money talks, so
yeah.
Here we are.
It is really fascinating that we are. I don't want to. I say this. I don't want to say this 3 years before Guardians comes out, because Guardians is going to be. I hope it's going to be fine. Yeah,
I hope it's going to be good.
I feel like we're. In like the 10s, right? Spielberg came out, was like, comic films, they're going to go die like westerns, and all these people were angry at him. And obviously they just never dropped off, right? They just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Do we I'm not saying we're near the end, but do we think like we've hit that peak, and slowly audiences are now, the general audience, maybe not film fans, but the general audience who only goes to cinema a handful of times a year, are they starting to be like, we just don't want to watch a Marvel film anymore?
I think and I hope they go back to what the Westerns kind of have done, which is every now and then a Western will come out and it will be fantastic and people will go, oh, wow, why aren't there more Westerns coming out? But they'll be really niche market. They'll be well acted. They'll be well shot and well directed. They won't be...
Like Matt Reeves' Batman.
Yeah, exactly. They won't be cheap production. They won't be, quick cash grab kind of vehicles. They won't have like massive VFX errors or anything like that. They may not even have big names attached to them. And I think hopefully in the next 15, 20 years, they'll revert back to that. But until that day, I doubt it. I mean, they're still selling tickets to the general audiences, to a wide range of audiences. Maybe they'll go more kind of diverge. They won't play that middle ground of the PG-13. They'll either go really kid-friendly or they'll go really kind of, R-rated, go for like blood and gore like Matt Reeves' Batman. But I feel like they're at a kind of weird point at the moment I mean, DC's about to explode their entire universe with the Flash film coming out. And then James Gunn's meant to be taking over. Marvel doesn't really have a direction of where they're actually going anymore, especially with kind of, recent revelations. They really don't have a leg to stand on in that department. They are kind of backed into a corner. So realistically, there isn't really any massive cornerstone left in the superhero game. You've got the odd film that's going to come out, which is probably going to blow everyone away. But we're kind of past the days now where, every single film's guaranteed to be a hit. Every single film is going to, draw in massive audiences and, be heralded as a fantastic film. We're at the stage where a lot of it is very mid-tier, very kind of middle of the road. And yeah, maybe it will revert back to that way. Maybe, maybe you were right. Like maybe, they will revert back to what the Westerns are and have been.
Yeah, sort of going back to your point, George, just sort of, I think it's interesting because I think I wasn't alone in that opinion that I think things should have finished at Endgame. I think there were other sort of, filmy people like us that maybe thought that. But I think now I think general audiences who I would say a lot of these films are targeted towards, like, they are the sort of summer blockbusters that get people in the cinema. Maybe they're sort of actually hang on a minute, what's going on with the story? Those graphics don't look great. So I think it's interesting, especially the Disney Plus format, and they're sort of diversifying their format with TV shows, even sort of animated series as well. I think it's an interesting time at the minute, but I like those more independent films, like you say, like the Batman, the Joker. I'm much more interested in those sort of storytelling formats that feel gritty, they feel real, than this sort of polished, well, not so polished really, but do you know what I mean? Like this sort of shiny, colourful superhero films. But that's just me from a Marvel perspective. I've not really seen many of the DC sort of, before the Flash kind of era change.
You've not missed much, don't worry. You've really not missed much with them. But it's all going to, there's a couple of big recasts that I think are going to happen this year with both Marvel and DC. But DC, James Gunn, I do not envy the job he has to do. That is one task nobody would want to deal with, especially the Zack Snyder fans on social media. Saying that on the weekend of Zack SnyderCon. If anyone, this is a real thing, by the way.
What?
It's SnyderCon in LA. They're showing all 3 IMAX, one each day of his trilogy. He's been there.
Trilogy? What trilogy?
Wow. Apparently Man in Steel, Batman v Superman, and the Justice League is an official trilogy, which to me it definitely isn't.
Yikes.
It just happens to be 3 films he directed.
Yeah.
So
can we throw Watchmen in there, because that's the best superhero film he's made?
Well, exactly, and it's before all of us. 2009. What a film. Sorry, Tate.
No worries. I'm going to dart through a few. So I hadn't seen Nobody before, so I watched Nobody in preparation for kind of John Wick and stuff like that, just get me into the kind of the action mood. I then went and saw online Operation Fortune, Ruse de Guerre, which was okay. It's another Guy Ritchie film. It's what you expect from a Guy Ritchie film. It wasn't anything that blew me away. Probably my favorite film to watch the entire month was a documentary from a few years ago, which I can't believe I hadn't seen before, which was Icarus, which was all about the doping scandal in athletics and in Russia and in cycling. So the setup of the documentary is this guy who basically wants to win an amateur bike race and wonders, I wonder if I blood dope, whether I'll become a better athlete, kind of thing. And he puts himself through the entire process of blood doping. And in the process of doing so, he gets into contact with a few people who can put him through to this program. And from that, they discover the entirety of the Russian doping program, and Russia gets banned from all of sports. It's that documentary. It's the massive bombshell kind of moment that he just happened to be filming it and filming the right people at the right time. And he discovers everything on his own, which is fantastic. I would highly recommend it. It's on Netflix.
Okay.
It's really, really good. It won did it win the Oscar for Best Documentary back then? I want to say it did.
While you check, Carlos commented Suzumi is his film of the year so far. I have heard really good stuff about this film. I know it's animated. I think it got a really limited release, like the typical Cineworld. Hey guys, here's a week's worth of showings, one a day at like 3 in the afternoon. But I've heard a lot of people say that have seen Suzumi. I hope I pronounced it right. I think there's 2 versions: there's the subtitled version or the English dub.
Suzumi is the same person who made Your Name, isn't it?
I do not know, I'm afraid, because my animation knowledge is terrible.
But Icarus did win the Oscar for Best Documentary back in 2017, so I'd highly recommend it. Darting through even further, I watched Prey for the first time. Probably my second, maybe third favorite Predator film. Really enjoyed it. I watched Bros because I completely missed it last year. I was given the choice at London Film Festival of watching Bros or Triangle of Sadness and ended up watching Triangle instead, which I really enjoyed Bros. It was a nice little pick-me-up. And then me and my best mate decided to get drunk and watch all of the John Wick films the night before watching the new one, which I will say, first film, fantastic. I love the first film. I really enjoy kind of, just the way they frame it, the way they film it, and the kind of vibe behind it. Second film, I genuinely could not recall a single event from the second film, just in general, even on rewatch. I don't like the second film. I really don't like the second film. I think it has some good sequences towards the end, but even then, it's not my favorite. Parabellum, I really like. Parabellum, I think, is memorable. And finally getting around to John Wick 4, which I really enjoyed. Just enjoyed it. For what it was. The one thing I would critique John Wick 4 for was most of the scenes were dark. In the dark. And I want to see my action in the daylight. I want to see what's going on the screen.
I must have spoiled my mistake then.
Well, there are scenes. Should we say there are scenes towards the end of the film that were in the light, but most of the film is in the dark up until that point.
Does John Wick really suit being in the light? Is he not more of a Batman?
Okay, I'll put it this way: like most of the set pieces in the previous 3 films, even though they're in the dark, they're well lit. You can see what's happening. You can see the action. John Wick 4, you can't see the action.
Really?
This was in,
I thought 4's the best for it.
No, I wouldn't say.
Was your cinema screen all right? It wasn't like a damaged projector, was it?
No, it was fine. It was fine.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, so I would say about John Wick, though, when we did the press screening of 4, the IMAX was too big at Cineworld. I think I said that in my first video. Like, it was too big to track the action and keep it in your eye because your eyes. Then it's been to that cinema, like your eye follows what's on. Yeah. And then when I rewatched it my local IMAX the week after, it was like not better the film. It's still the same film, but I was like, oh, okay, I'm not like moving my eyes around the screen to figure out where's the framing, where's this, and that's what something I did find very interesting with John Wick. But I think my favorites is probably 4, then 2, then 1, then gap, then 3.
No, I'd probably go 3-1, 4-2 personally.
I've only seen number 1, so number 1's my favorite. I've got this habit of only in these franchises, I just watch the first film. I don't know why I do that. Like, I've only seen the first Halloween, the first John Wick. Yeah. Like, I just do it. I don't know why.
I don't think the film ever intended to get to a 4th film. The first
no,
one.
It didn't.
No.
The second one was like, okay, we're doing it again. And then
the third one actually brought in the story.
No, I think the third one was where the money came in maybe a bit too much. That's my feeling. And then it sounds really weird because obviously I know you've not seen it, but to me, John Wick 4 is actually John Wick 3. Like, they very, very quickly write around the events of 3. And it could almost be... If you watch 1, 2, and 4, that would probably work. Bar one scene at the start of 4. That's all I would say. But I won't say anything more than that.
Anyway. Then I watched Super Mario Bros. Movie, which is currently my favourite film of the year. So there you go. It's just so fun. And I love Mario. I've got an original copy of Mario on the NES, so I'm a massive Mario fan. And ever since the first trailer came out, I kind of thought, okay, maybe Illumination have done it right this time. Maybe Illumination aren't just the punching bag studio for animation and stuff like that. And yeah, they did good. And do you know what? I didn't really mind too much about Chris Pratt voice, which I'm very surprised saying. It worked for the film. they explained it away very quickly, and it made a lot of sense, and I was completely okay with it. Loved a lot of the Easter eggs, loved a lot of the references. Loved the sequel baiting as well, because you need to have that in there and stuff like that. And just a fun little film with loads of cute little moments, and yeah, really enjoyed it. And then
Is it better than the 90s version? Would you
yeah,
say?
100%.
Wow.
Well, I'll put it this way: this one's probably going to be nominated for best animated feature and maybe best original song at the Oscars. Take an early shout for both.
Did you see the Lego store thing that went viral with the Lego Bowser?
No.
Okay, so if anyone's been to a Lego store, they have like the really expensive models on display, and then you have the price tag. And last year they did a Lego Bowser set. I want to say it's like £300, and it's a big Bowser.
Yeah, yeah, it's about 230 quid. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they did a Lego piano, I think last year as well. And
Oh
what this
my
Lego
God.
store did, it's managed. The thing is, scale wise, it's managed to work. They've put the Bowser on the piano, and it went viral. And that was before I saw the film. I saw that, I was like, okay, there's clearly something insane happening with the piano at some point. But I'm not surprised at how big Mario has been, right? But
it broke 1 billion, didn't it?
Yeah, like, you know, some films hit 1 billion and no one cares. Like, this has the popularity, the pop culture that I'm seeing it everywhere. And it's not like my algorithms on the feeds. Like, that's like, you know, I went to a 8:30 night showing on a Saturday thinking it'd be quiet. And it was like,
I mean, Peach is still charting. I'm pretty sure it is, right?
Probably. In America, probably. Maybe not here, but
I think it was charting UK, though. That's the thing.
It's just, I think because, you know, remember when they announced that cast, everyone's like Chris Pratt? And I was one of them. And if I'm being completely honest, I'm still the same.
It is. It's number 32. It peaked at number 3 last week.
Wow.
It was number 3 on the UK charts last week.
That's see, this is it. But again, it's and this is what surprised me is we've got a good comment by Carl, sorry.
Yeah.
Apologies if this has been mentioned, but what did everyone think of Pearl? I still haven't seen it. Sarah,
I've seen it. Yeah, I did like it. So basically, so I saw it was coming out. I was like, I should probably go and see that because everyone in America was raving about it 3 months ago.
Yeah.
So I decided to watch X the same week because I'd never seen that. Loved X. Thought that was great. And I was like, oh, okay, this is a prequel. Interesting. It's good. I think the film as a whole isn't as strong as X, but Mia Goth is like amazing in it. Like, she gives a really, really good performance in it. Like, I would just watch it alone just for her performance in it. It's insane.
Excellent. I loved X. I'm not saying Pearl because I was also one of those saying, why have we got it like 5 minutes after America? And then the invitation I come from, I was like, I could watch it in other ways, but I don't want to do that. Man, Pearl rips. And I know that they've just started filming. What's the second one called? It's not Double X, is it?
Maxine,
that's it.
With Triple X.
I was like, yeah, someone's already done that. But yeah. Maxine, that cast looks insane. If anyone hasn't seen that, Giancarlo Esposito. Have you not seen the cast for it?
No.
They did, right, an incredible announcement. Proper like 80s VHS vibes. I'm just searching on my... Bear with me one moment.
Just very quickly, whilst jumping in there, I finished the month on a massive downer because I watched Shazam: Fury of the Gods and it was awful.
Oh, I still haven't seen
it. I've not seen it either.
Yeah, it's yeah. Imagine having all the fun in that first film, and you know, giving the characters responsibilities. Yikes! Yikes!
I watched the director of the film. He's got a YouTube channel, and he like breaks down his shots. Like, watch that. So I vicariously watched part of the film, I guess, through his sort of shot breakdown.
I know Zachary Levi was really angry because the film didn't perform well.
He lost the plot on Instagram Live.
Yeah, he really did. He was pissed off as well because they had a cameo.
No. The Rock vetoed the Black Adam cameo. Again, DC politics, and then he did that amazing. Hey guys, I know that John Wick's out and people like John Wick, but if you don't want something that's like horrible and violent, then come and watch Shazam, which is a great family-friendly film. And someone's like, "Can it?" I mean, I've not seen it, but apparently there's a scene where like a teacher commits suicide or something. Or
Oh yeah, literally, teacher
Yeah.
walks off a building, and yeah,
and people were like, "Hey, this is the guy that was saying that
yeah.
John Wick's not a family film, but this is."
You have people being impaled on things. You
Jeez.
have like
Jeez.
people being sealed into concrete and stuff like that. You have people being violently like attacked and everything like that. Like
Wow.
you have domestic terrorism in the film. Like there's a lot going on. You know, family friendly and all.
Yeah. And for all the kids.
This is the Maxine cast. If you're curious, I got Mia Goth, Elizabeth Debicki, Michelle Monaghan, Bobby Cannavale, Lily Collins, Kevin Bacon, Giancarlo Esposito, and Halsey. I'm terrible with music.
The singer?
Yeah, musician. It
What?
says.
Interesting.
But that's filming now, and anything that's got Giancarlo Esposito in, I even that horrible Netflix. Hey, here's like a million ways to watch our show, which was incorrect and a lie, and I sussed them out. I was very angry that day when I'd figured that out. That I can't forget the name of the show. It came out on New Year's Day. But yeah, I probably watch. I've got so many films. I really want to watch Tetris on Apple. The Tarantino.
Yeah, I still need to watch that.
Is it Severance on Apple is meant to be fantastic?
Severance, I've heard amazing things about, and then I've read that season 2 might be on hold because the showrunners fell out, which is interesting. But there's a lot of good stuff out at the moment, and you know, given this month that we did so, I mean, sorry, Tate, if you didn't know.
No, that's it. That's it. As far as TV shows are concerned, like I said, I've been watching through Succession. I've been watching through Ted Lasso. I tried to get into Yellow Jackets, but couldn't get past the second episode. Just couldn't get into the mystery. And I'm starting with The White Lotus as well. I'm hoping that picks up as well because the first episode didn't wow me personally. So we'll see with both of those. But yeah. Oh, and one TV show that I did watch was Kunk on Earth, which was fantastic. And you know, I know Charlie Brooker's writing on that, and I know that the announcement of Black Mirror coming back. I'm incredibly excited for that.
Yeah.
I'm a massive Black Mirror fan, and I'm glad that it isn't a 3-episode series. It's going to be more than that. It's going to be 5 or 6 episodes. So looking forward to that. And that's going to be out soon as well.
Yes, I've not seen Black Mirror. I've heard really good stuff.
You've not seen any episode of Black Mirror?
No,
I know. I'm as shocked as you are to that.
and everyone I know says it's right in my street with what I'm into, which kind of makes it worse.
You know, George, a few years ago, I had an idea of doing a Black Mirror-thon, and that is still on the table if you want to.
Is it June season? Is it season 6?
Mm-hmm.
How many episodes in the series?
The episodes, I want to say there's about 20 episodes total, maybe less than that.
Oh, total. Okay, that's
they're quite short series at the beginning, aren't they?
The episodes range from the longest episode. There's one episode that's over an hour. All the other episodes are ranging between 45 minutes to an hour.
And then Bandersnatch is however long you want it to be.
Yeah, I mean it's a play along at home. It's meant to take you about 2 hours, though. I think.
I will finish Jedi Survivor. Is that what's it called? I don't know the name of the game I've been playing for a few days. The new Star Wars one.
Oh yeah.
Jedi Survivor. Yeah.
Jedi's. Yes.
It's not Fallen Order. It's Survivor.
I've been calling it Fallen Order for years, and that's the name of the first one, which really shows how much I've been.
No, I thought when they announced, it's called Jedi Survivor. I'm like, no, I thought the franchise was called Jedi Fallen Order.
Like that should be the name of the series, right? Like the Fallen Order trilogy or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm playing it at the moment, and yeah, I've not even been on the PlayStation that much. I've just had, I think, because Celebration was tiring, like not like normal convention tiring. Like this was like unearthly, like not happened to me, and I've done a lot of conventions. I think some of the videos, like 5 days in Chicago was less tiring than the 2 days here, and this was a 4-dayer. So I think I've recovered fully now. I'm not ill. I've been all right since I think Thursday. I just need to start watching films again because I loved Shrinking. I just couldn't stop watching it. I was like, I'll watch a couple episodes here and there, then put a film on because I've got a few films I want to watch, but I've not. And May's going to be a quiet month at the cinema, but it means there's a lot more time to watch stuff at home. I'm saying that. Mission Impossible series starts at the end of May, so there's going to be a lot of planning, a lot of Mission Impossible watching. I got the not the trailer, but the Tom Cruise feature. If anyone's seen that for the new one today before Star Wars, did make me think like
No.
I was expecting like, okay, so what they did when Avatar came out, rather than do a new trailer, they released a 10-minute behind the scenes video of the main stunt from the first trailer, and it basically acted as a trailer. It was such a good featurette, and they put it in the cinemas, so they've not had to do a second trailer yet. I believe that in the next like 2 weeks we're going to get Oppenheimer. We're going to get something for Mission Impossible because CinemaCon was last week. If anyone follows CinemaCon, which is a really cool event, but yeah, they showed a lot of Mission Impossible, and apparently it looks good. So that's a reminder to myself to start organizing them and start watching them. But aside from that, I mean, we don't normally ask what else are people watching. But has anyone got any new releases that they want to quickly bring up that they're looking forward to seeing? I know May's not. I know there's Guardians on Wednesday.
Beau is Afraid is mid-May. I'm looking forward to that.
Is that okay? I've seen a lot of stuff about that. I'm very
I'm curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a massive lover of Hereditary. Midsummer I was not a fan of, so it seems to be 50-50 with Ari Aster for me. So I'm curious to see what everyone's talking about in America, especially.
Yes.
For me, it's Guardians. I'm
I want it to be good. I know I've been on the Marvel downer. I was like, just at least give me, at least go on. I like James Gunn. I trust James Gunn. And as far as they go, the Guardians have had the least, let's weave you in and out of everything. They seem to have the most freedom, and the casts are all desperate to leave as well. So I'm hoping I'm hoping it's one of those where it's like they don't just want to leave like. It's like their last, like one final. What's the Vin Diesel one? One last ride. I feel like that's the vibe for Guardians on Wednesday, but I still need to watch it. And then we've got Cal just playing, but he's afraid of Beau's Afraid, based on their response so far. It's very fair to say.
Yeah.
Aside from that, though, guys, I don't know if I've missed out saying anything. I don't know if I need to bring anything else up. But does that wrap up today's stream? It feels weird because I'm not doing a video in a few weeks. I'm really like normally I sit here plugging. We've got this, we've got that, we've got these. But I'd imagine the next thing is a Guardians review on Wednesday. There's no more Mandalorian. The series is finished. There's no more Bad Batch. That series is finished as well. Star Wars is, I say, dying down. Visions is out on Thursday. I know a lot of people are very big on Visions with the animation studios. And I've heard that season 2 is apparently incredible as a light-headed. This is what I've been told by people I know that have seen it. But yeah, that's going to round out this video. So once again, thank you all for watching. And for everyone that was commenting below the films they've been watching, thank you for getting involved. If you're watching it later on, do let us know. Any recommendations, anything like that, things you think we might like, things you think we might hate, do comment them. We'll have a look at those. And if you like this video, do hit the subscribe button. We do this stream once a month. It's the most chilled out sort of video we have. If there's big news stuff, we'll talk about it. If we've got films, we'll see where that conversation takes us, which has done pretty well today. And Sarah, thank you so much for coming on. Take time out to come on. Glad to have finally got you on the channel. And
Thank you for having me.
That's okay. Lovely to get on some more. Just for the people unaware, we've got a link in the description. But what can they expect on Popcorn Chat, just for those that haven't yet subscribed?
On the channel, I sort of focus a lot on new releases, but sometimes I might go back and look at some sort of classics. I do a lot of list rankings of different sort of franchises or, certain films by directors. So you can expect a real range on my channel.
Definitely. So everybody, please subscribe to her as well. There's a lot of really good videos on there as well. And I mentioned the Star Wars one earlier. I know you've been doing all the Evil Dead ones.
Yeah.
And I've seen none of them. I should have watched. I think last weekend I would have. If I hadn't been ill, I think I would have. They've been sat behind me, the original trilogy, for I say original trilogy like it's Star Wars. It's been there for a very long time on Blu-ray. I've just not seen it. But if you want to find out more about our videos, what else we have coming up, we all will announce it on social media, Twitter and Instagram at cinema_savvy, Facebook and letterboxd.com/cinemasavvy, link to Redbubble in that description. Tate, is there anything else, or
buy our merch?
Yeah.
That's basically it. No, got a little bit of a quiet month. Just means that more time to watch loads of films. This next month should be a really long one, I assume.
Yeah. Oh, there is going to be a summer blockbuster season preview type thing. Can't remember the date, but that's going to happen. So we will be back with there being no big releases, bar like one at the start, one at the end. We're probably going to have a few discussion chill videos throughout the month. So we'll have those details. We'll put them on social media when we've got them. We'll probably announce them in the Guardians video. That's at some point this week. But aside from that, thank you all for watching. Take care, and we'll see you on the next one.